Hi, everybody. Welcome to a very special episode of Am I the Asshole podcast. I am joined by an incredibly special guest today. He's the host of J-Train Podcast, the co-host of You Up Podcast, an undeniable influence of mine, comedy seller, comedian, recent Aruba tourist. Ladies and gentlemen, the board lord himself, Jared Freid. Welcome to the program.
Great to be here. Thank you for having me. Excited to call people assholes while not being one myself.
You don't identify even partly?
Well, I feel like that's part of it. When you call someone an asshole, you kind of insinuate that it could never be you, but I think that we're all assholes.
Yeah, a lot of these situations, I'm like, oh no, I've totally done this. I've been the asshole in this exact situation. I think on the internet sometimes too, sorry to interrupt, but I think on the internet too, I think sometimes people just see statements about assholes and it should say underneath, like, you know, it says tweeted from my iPhone or like it should say, I also am an asshole. Like, right. Because I think it would help out a lot of conversations over the internet if it was just and tweeted while knowing I'm a total asshole. They should put that, because I see on Twitter now to go, is this tweet relevant to you? They should also ask, is this tweeted by an asshole, just so we all have a little bit of context who this person is.
I mean, but I think, like, if some people took some ownership, like, you know, the response wouldn't be as, you know, it wouldn't be received so hurtful, you know, because everything's in extremes, you know?
Right. Yeah, this a lot of the responses we get are very extreme. But before we go to Asshole Town, I want to talk about, are you a self-proclaimed board lord, or did someone appoint you? And by the way, we're talking about charcuterie boards. I'm getting self-conscious here talking to the board lord about shark boards. So what's the deal?
I am the self-proclaimed board lord. And it started very innocently. Like, it wasn't like I was like, you know, I think I'm someone who has... We're all judging each other. I mean, look at this podcast is judging whether someone's an asshole or not, but everyone's judging. Like the idea of like, oh, I'm not here to judge. Yeah, I literally live to judge. So it's an insane thing to say. So I think it started because it was an innocent tweet, like all of most things. And I said, I could tell what type of parent you'd be by the type of charcuterie board that you put out. And this was like, like legitimately like 2.5 years ago that I tweeted that.
Wow.
And what I found out from that tweet is that then people just started sending me pictures of their charcuterie boards. And I was like, I didn't realize that, like, if you've made one, you have a picture on your phone. It's like a baby. Like if you
people love to photograph their shark. That's so true.
They love it. Yeah. So I got sent like a bunch, and I just was telling them what type of parent they'd be. And then it turned into just me just talking about them, like what I would say to myself if I was at their party. And this is purely from the point of view of the board lord, myself, is that I'm at your party. I came, and what's my thought to myself when I see it? It's not that I wouldn't eat it. I mean, some of them I wouldn't eat, but I'm saying I'll eat it, but I'm still like, there's a lot of things I'd eat that I would also talk shit about, you know? So this is and what the thing is with charcuterie boards, like it's all the people who make them, they all think that it's like toddlers. Like, yeah, put it up on the fridge. It's great. It's A++. Just because they made it. Because there's no need for an education to make a charcuterie board. You don't even have to know how to turn on an oven. You literally put food on a plate. So all these people that make them, they think right away they're amazing. And I'm like, no, there's a bunch of things I would think of you based on this board. And a lot of that comes because it's... of the social media, like, you know, people try and do things for social media, you know, do it for Instagram, you know what I mean? Like, you know, do it for the gram. So there's a lot of people putting these things out for a picture and not for the appetite of, you know, Joe Random. And I represent Joe Random.
Oh, you're Joe, right? Okay, well, I just want to feel this out. Can I throw you my kind of board lore? Let me throw you my board. Okay. I'm going to go with the wooden board. I'm going to go with cars, water crackers, the plain ones. I'm a big soft cheese guy. I'm going to do a brie, a very standard kind of like just a normal brie. Then I'm going to do a camembert brie, a really tasty brie, and a blue cheese. I'll throw some prosciutto and some salami. That's my board. What say you?
It's a very male board. It's all function.
You can tell I'm a male. Okay.
I can tell you're male. Like I can gender you with that board.
Okay.
Like no woman just is like, here's your meat and cheese and plain cracker. Like that's what you basically just said.
That's what I said. It's true. So yeah, a woman would throw on a grape? What does a woman throw in there?
There would be some thought into the type of carb. There would be something to, definitely a fig jam or a spicy jam, or
that adds a lot.
They would get into, again, it is this thing of like, when you make a board like that, you are me hungry, me want cheese, me want meat. And for a woman, well, that's the thing. But like, this is why men, are generally like, they might be good at feeding someone, but they're not good at making you want to eat it. Like a woman, would make it, would want her friend from college to like the board, So
right.
Again, it is the mix. It's like life. Nothing is black or white. It's all gray. Most people are assholes, and most people, are missing one part of the board that could really be made better by maybe a collaborative effort.
Well, I'm feeling like jam is a really nice little accent there. Not too pricey. Jar of jam is going to last you a while. Nice little fig jam. I feel pretty good, though. I thought you were going to tear me apart. I feel pretty good about my board.
Well, I don't have the visuals. I can only go on so much, but I do.
I would lose. I would lose more points. You'd be like, this is inedible.
The crazy response I get is, where's your board? Which is like, to me, like that is the worst type of person. That is someone who lives. Well, that's the thing. Like we live in a world, and this from putting things on the internet, that there are people who like me, and then there's trolls. There's no critical anybody. And it's like, I'm not here to like, I listen, movie critics don't write movies. That's just, there's such a thing as a movie critic. And I'm here to critique. I'm here to speak from the stomach, and from the stomach of a bunch of people who came to your party. Like, take the L and we'll figure it out next time.
I'm calling it a W. I thought I was about to be ripped to shreds. You were going to call me basic or something. Instead, I just got called male, which honestly is a compliment for me.
No, listen, you have a functional board on your hands there.
All right, so on You Up, you do a lot of conversations about dating etiquette. I feel like you were a big dating app guy. I would dare say you were kind of a pro at it. I'm curious, how would you advise people just generally, how not to be an asshole on the apps? I'm on the apps.
I think being as honest as possible, while also with kind gloves. Being honest with kind gloves. And what do I mean by that? I guess what I mean by that is, you can be honest with class. You can, say what you're looking for and be upfront. And you're going to lose out on people when you're upfront, but that's okay. At least you're not with someone who thinks they're there for something else. And I think that's a big part of that is also being personal. And what do I mean by that? I mean, like, to talk to their profile, not talk to the whole profile. Like I think a lot of people, I get asked a lot of times, like, what's a good opening line? A good opening line is something that you've noticed from their profile that made you want to talk to them. And it's interested. Like, we're all, just like the charcuterie board, we're all narcissists. We all created a little art project with our dating profiles. Why don't you speak about the art project that they created? So... And I think what happens is a lot of times people get fed up. They're mad at other people. They're mad that they're even still on the apps. They're mad at and then they get mad at honesty. Like someone will say something that comes up on the podcast a lot is like it's funny when sometimes people will write in, can you believe what this guy did or this woman did? And it'll be them just like telling them what they want. And I'm like, yeah, I can. I mean, they just said they wanted to hook up. I think they're right. And, to waste your time on the people who don't want the same things as you. Like, that's when you start to be an asshole, is like when you're not upfront, and then when you're judging someone for being upfront.
Okay, I feel good. I've been very honest and transparent. I want to ask you, I had a friend, a comedian friend, a woman, and she told me she wasn't doing well when she would put up her stand-up photos. And I was kind of shook by that, because to me, I was like, I get that it's a numbers game, but I was like, that's such a core part of who you are. I mean, it's like my favorite part of who this person is. What would you say to someone kind of positioning themselves that way, kind of hiding a huge aspect of their identity?
I don't consider that hiding. Like, I wouldn't expect someone to put up a picture of them at their accounting office. That's fair. I think it's okay to reveal, like, to not. I think I never had stand-up pictures on my profile. And the reason was, it was very personal to me. That was something very personal to reveal to someone, to show to someone, to see, even though I was putting that out in other venues, I care very much about that thing. And I'm not doing it to get a lady, like, I'm not doing it to like impress someone. So like to me, it's like the same thing as like, should I have me and my kid on there to let people know I have a kid? I don't think everyone deserves that information. I think it's okay to say, listen, talk to me first. Let's see if we have a connection. Then I can let you in on that. Like, I don't need, it's up to each person, but I would say, like, I think it's okay to protect some information and that they don't, not everyone has to have it.
I got to chew on that insight. That's really interesting to me, that you care about stand-up so much, and that's why you didn't share, because it's so personal to you. I don't know. That's really interesting to me. I guess I understand it without fully knowing what to do with that information.
Yeah, it's not to judge anyone who does it the other way, but I don't know. It just never, to me, that wasn't all of me. And also, like, I wouldn't expect to see someone else's job on there. Like, and I wouldn't even put my job. I was just like, if they ask me, yeah, I do comedy. And then some people, people respond to that in different ways. Some people respond, they go, oh, what, do you do this, do that? Then they have interested questions. Other people are like, tell me a joke. And it's like, good to know. I won't fucking talk to you anymore. Like, and this isn't to say I tested people, but I was definitely like, listen, I can have an interesting conversation with someone and it not be about stand-up,
Yeah. Because when I was looking at profiles, a big thing, I've been less on the apps. I've been jaded right away. I'm like, I want a creative girlfriend. She just need to be creative in some way. So I'm searching for that. But now that I kind of know your perspective, I'm like, dang, what if I saw, Jarita Freid? Would I, like, she wouldn't put out there that she's creative? Like, I don't know. Do you think my approach is a little flawed?
I don't know. I think so. You could fit with someone who loves creativity. Like, I would assume that most people have some sort of creativity in them. Like, I don't think that's like such a thing that like I think there can be people in fields that I wouldn't consider creative that are creative. Like, sure. Someone, everyone has different. To me, that's one of those things that, like, anyone can be creative, but, like, their version has to match with you. So, like, if they're like, to me, some of the least creative people in the world are stand-up comics. Like, like some of them talk about how shitty TikTok is, and now TikTok's only for dancers and young kids, and it's like, how uncreative are you? Like, TikTok gave you a fucking pad and pen and told you do whatever you want, and you go, well, I'm too old for that. Like, how uncreative is that? Like, though I saw TikTok came out, and my immediate thought was, this is different. And I'm not like giving myself credit. I'm just saying, like, I do understand, like, you see young people on there and it's a little intimidating because you're older, but I did come around to the fact that, like, okay, let's see how I'm funny here, and because every app starts with young people and then you hear old people being like, if I had just gotten on it early, it's like, yeah, you're just a fucking idiot, you know? So like so many stand-ups will look at people who do stuff outside of stand-up to promote their stand-up, and they look down on it. So it's like, how creative are they? You know? So I think there can be creative people in any business. That doesn't necessarily have to be quote unquote creative. So I think it is flawed. I think that's one of those things where it's like, I think on dating apps, and we talk about this a lot on You Up, some people are on there telling you before showing you. And, that those people are usually the least confident people.
I like that a lot. By the way, you just did serious therapy there, because TikTok is the only platform I have followers on, and I have a huge chip on my shoulder. I'm like, this is the only platform that doesn't matter. Stand-up's always shit on this platform. I'm a hack.
No, I don't think that at all. I think wherever you can find people that find you funny is the reason you did this. So, it's, is it as sticky, quote unquote, for people to get fans? I don't know, but I think that would be, but that will change. That is not going to, how it is today is not how it's going to be tomorrow. $1 today is not as worth as much as $1 tomorrow, true. They say. So
true. So speaking of stand-up, you are a great stand-up, and you just released a new special all about 2020. It's incredible.
Thank you.
You put together a new 35 minutes?
It's 35 minutes.
That's incredible, man.
Well, there's a 5-minute interview that's kind of interspliced. So I'll give myself credit for maybe 28 minutes or 29 or 30. But I had basically the world started to get open a little bit, and I was performing at wineries and street corners and breweries and places outside, and you can't go on stage and be like, so relationships are weird, you're in a pandemic, you got to talk about it a little bit. And my opening joke about the pandemic went from a minute to 3 minutes to, okay, let's talk about this, to that was really the only thing I wanted to talk about, because also to me it's maybe an easier topic right away, because we're all going through it at the same time. It's like if everyone had a baby at the same time, you could just talk about babies, so but then you start hearing other people doing their pandemic jokes, and you start taking out the ones that kind of sound like other people, and then you try to make it more personal. And I had some real personal experiences with the pandemic that I was like, I think people could relate to it, because I'm very much middle of the road. I don't associate with a party. I don't really, on every issue, I really don't believe in taking any side right off the bat just because of whatever my, what I've said in the past. I think new information, new chance to have an opinion. And so I saw a lot of what was going on where it's again, so many things, it's just two screaming people, one, on one side of the aisle and the other on the other side of the aisle, when most people, to me, were just trying to do what I was doing, which is hey, let's just push through this in whatever is a safe and respectful way. And so much of the news was taken over by Karen videos. And so then you start to assume that everyone is a screaming lunatic. You start to assume that everyone is someone that's coughing on a Walmart employee because they told them to put on a mask, or they're your friend who yells at, asks where your mask is every time you post a selfie.
Right. Where's your second mask? What about this person?
Yeah, exactly. So the people even asking those questions, I'm annoyed at both of those people. And so the whole special is really from that perspective to say hey, there's a lot of people out there who are giving in the, trying. And, even I'll give a short story as an example. There was this Thanksgiving, I went to my parents in Florida, and I was working out outside on a field, and on the field there was a family of 10 people doing a socially distanced, Thanksgiving get together hang. And they were all doing what they could, there was, it was just a family. It was very sweet. And there's the grandma, the kid, the grandkids, whatever. And they're outside. You could tell, they're we want to see each other, but we're not gonna go inside. So let's do our outside thing on this field. So fine. Then they were let's take a picture together. Let's have a moment. And the grandmother's like, get together for the picture. And they all get together. And then the grandmother goes, wait a minute, put on your mask. And it's like, oh my God, what do we, like, you literally had the moment where it's like, she's afraid of a big brother of her own creation. Like, and you're like, I'm sitting there being like, who's the mask on for? They just spent like an hour together out here. Like, they're outside. Who are they answering to? You know? And it's like stuff like that where you go, oh man, we have really like, you know, and to me, like, that's a luxury problem, which I love luxury problems. And even this year, like, felt weird to even be like, yeah, I'm having a bad day, because everyone could always point to someone with a worse day, which you could do in any world. But because of the pandemic, people who like showing you that you're wrong or like holding misery over you could win because they have moral authority.
Yeah. Well, before I want to dive into a few of the things you said, but your special, it's on YouTube, right? We can link to we'll link to that there in the description. You guys can watch it. Yeah. I mean, I think the biggest thing I could take from what you said, which I love, is, you know, there's a lot of black and white thinking going on, and it honestly, I think, really got bad when Trump, and it's very tiring because I try to tell this to people. It's like, look, they're wrong and we're right, fine. But it's not 100-0. You know, it's maybe it's 70-30. Isn't that enough? I mean, I'm still blown away. I'm still chewing on this. 28 minutes even. That is incredible. Big props to you guys. We got a really juicy up for you. I picked some classic situation, one classic and a couple new ones here. Our second situation, would it be the asshole if I don't take back the dating advice I gave to my brother? But this first one, Jared, I'm ready to just read this thing and let you go off. I'm really excited about this.
Let's do it.
AITA for ending a mediocre first date after 10 minutes. I recently went out with a girl from Bumble. We got drinks at a bar, and I knew from the first minute that it wasn't going to work. She wasn't as good looking as her pictures, and I personally thought she was really boring since we don't have much in common. She was nice and clearly put effort into her appearance and outfit, but there was no spark. I debated waiting the courtesy 45 minutes to an hour, but realized I would much rather be at home where I could get things done or watch Netflix. After 10 minutes, I told her I thought she was nice, but it wasn't going to work. I asked to split the check and bailed. I could tell she felt offended, but I felt like I did both of us a favor since we both didn't waste 45 minutes of our lives. AITA for ending a date so early. I feel like I saved us both lots of time, especially since in her profile it says she was looking for a relationship.
I'm going to give them the asshole for one reason. And I don't think they're an asshole for ending it early. I think they're an asshole for splitting the check.
Really? Wow. We might go back and forth on this. That's the sin to you, huh?
Well, here's the reason. That person has allotted an hour, whatever the amount of time was for you. So they did make time for you.
Right.
And you are the one ending it, not mutually agreed upon. It wasn't like you both got up and were like, hey, this was a nice time, and then you split the check. That's a different story. To me, you have co-opted their time by ending this date early and really not given them the drink's worth of time that they would have assumed and they made their night for and put on makeup for and did their hair for. And like, I get what he's saying about the picture and stuff. Like, I could see how someone would be like let off track by being like, just be, you know, that sounds like but he's speaking to us. He's not speaking to her. So I can understand, like, this is this is an anonymous thing. I think when you split the tab after taking someone's time and then ending their time, that's the problem I have.
Interesting. All right. So I agree with you that it is a sin, but to me, the 10 minutes is almost just, it's curt. It's too short, and that's rude. You didn't even give this person a shot. You know, I understand if you know right away if it's a deal breaker. I certainly have known within 10 minutes that this wasn't going to be it, but I also feel like, you know, that's not really enough time to be 100% sure. They're also a person who met up with you, and they have hopes and dreams, and I feel like it's kind of cruel. Yeah.
But that's why the payment thing, like, you know, to me,
I'm with you. Yeah.
That, like, all of this is true because they split the tab. If they had not split the tab, I would have been like, hey, listen, I know it. Like, and they did seem to be respectful. I don't think they looked at them and was like, you don't look a thing like this fucking picture. I'm out of here. You're like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think they like held the picture up and was like, who's this? Who the fuck is this? You know, like that would be an asshole.
But Jared, are you telling me, so all right, so it's the exact same situation. They're there for 10 minutes and he goes, listen, there's just no spark for me here. It's on me. You know, it was good to meet you. You're telling me that guy isn't an asshole?
No. Like if someone did that to me, if I was sitting at a bar and they said, you know what, I'm sorry to do this. Like, Jared, you seem like a really nice person, but I'm not feeling this connection and I don't want to waste a second of your time, but I will pay for the drinks. I just have to go. I would go, I would be what? I'd be thrown, you know, I would be taken aback, but
you don't think you'd be hurt a little?
I would be, yeah, I would wonder what happened, but
it's brutal, bro.
But you can't push that. I like to me that I'm a little envious of a person like this. Like for someone like they must really know what they want. And he did say she's looking for a relationship. And you know how many women that would rather this over the alternative, which to me, the alternative of this is going on 3 dates, being like, I'm not that into it, but I'd love to fuck, and then fucking, and then leaving.
No, that's an asshole move. That's an asshole move. But like, and look, I think you're a guy, you're emotionally strong, you're a put together dude. I guess I feel like, you know, it's just brutal, man. If I were to tell this to a girl after 10 minutes, it just seems mean. You know, it's like they didn't even get a fair shot. They didn't get a feeling out at all.
But the fair shot, this isn't a tennis match. Do you know what I mean? Like,
but it's like, okay, but you said, all right, you're going to the price, right? The price to you has to do with like spending of the money. But it's like we agreed to have an interaction, right? And that interaction, assumably, would be 45 minutes, you know? And it's like I'm breaking that agreement. And to me, that feels like an unspoken agreement. And breaking it, especially when we are talking about the 35-minute difference, it's kind of like, yeah, that's just rude. You know, it's rude. It's I think it is disrespectful, you know, paying or not paying.
Nah, I think split. This person, it's the splitting for me. Like I am sorry, I disagree. Like I just think, I guess I agree he's an asshole, but not for that reason. To me, like I just think like I am a little envious of someone who, first of all, knows what they want this much. Because I'm with you. Like I would be like, well, maybe I'll figure it out. Maybe it'll get better. Maybe it'll be, you know, I'm that way too. So I'm a little envious of their ownership of what they like and don't like.
I'm trying to think of an analogy. Like if you went to a job interview and it was like you sat down expecting like at least a 10-minute interview, it'd be kind of typical. And then they talk to you for 1 minute and they're like, sorry, you're just not what we want. I would be like, yeah, that's like asshole-ish. Like give that person the interaction.
I guess in that scenario, like let's say you hired the person right before the person you interviewed.
Yes.
So,
great.
So you knew it wasn't going to work out. So now, I guess in that scenario, you'd say, well, keep interviewing them because maybe you have another department you could ship them off to.
Or
so then it becomes another...
Yeah, or to give them the experience of having an interview. Like, that's a meaningful interaction. Like, even if they have to role play a little bit, pretend like they're interested, right? It's kind of the same thing.
Here's the difference in those two scenarios, and I'm not just disagreeing to disagree.
Yeah.
In an interview scenario, you have something to offer them. You are the person with the job, and hypothetically, this person is less experienced and would need the experience of an interview. In a dating scenario, like I always say this when someone like wants closure, I'm like, you're not going to find out anything from them that's going to help you. They're not going to tell you what you did wrong to help you on the next person. It's just not the match. Like with a job scenario, you know, like there is a hierarchy type of thing. In a dating scenario, to me, there's no hierarchy. There's just two people looking for the right puzzle piece, and this is someone who goes, you don't fit in my puzzle. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to budge on that.
All right, maybe we can meet in the middle here. I give you that.
Sure,
for a lot
I see
of
all your
people.
points. Like I do understand like the hurt in it and the questions, but
for
like
the experience,
the person
part,
leaving the date, but if you look at it from the perspective of like the person leaving the date isn't. I know they're the one leaving, but they're not the higher end person. Like I know.
No.
The action, but that's what I'm saying. Like the action of leaving the date seems like you're saying I'm above you, but the action of leaving the date is saying that I'm not. We're not the match. You know what I mean?
But look, even what you're saying, I think supports where I'm going with this, which is you're saying I envy this person. Why? They know exactly what they want. I don't think everyone does. I think a lot of daters are out there, and they are actually inexperienced at dating, right? Everyone has to actually gain the experience of dating, of like going, and I was building to this, right? Like I was going on lots of dates and I had a little routine, I had a strategy, and like I would be upset if a girl bailed on me within 10 minutes because I'd be like, well, I'm kind of feeling this out. I'm like kind of seeing like, what are my talking points? What do I want to do? Like, how do I want to get to know you? And so I think that to me is the sin, is that you're depriving them of this experience, and it's not a hierarchy
but the experience,
thing.
But the experience with someone who's wrong for them, I like, to me, like I think I wouldn't want to be lied to. Like I think.
Yeah.
But the action of staying there is a lot. Like if you're 10 minutes in, you go, this ain't the person. They're very nice. They're very sweet, but this ain't happening. It's not something I would do, but I don't think someone's an asshole for doing it is really what it comes. And I agree with you. Like it's like, it's like when you break up with someone and, they're like, well, give me another chance. And then you feel bad. So you kind of like give them another chance. And then you're really being an asshole in that scenario.
Oh, absolutely. I guess we're just kind of splitting on the value of the experience of going on a date, which I believe is there. I believe that's what this person is robbing this other person of. Even if they're not a match, I still feel like it's good to like, get comfortable doing it. Just like with the job interview, you get comfortable. And then on your next job interview, you're like, this is my second one. I'm even better. I know how this goes. I know where this is going.
The disagreement I have is that, is it really experience if you're there with someone faking it?
Well, yeah, I mean, aren't you faking it? You're faking it no matter what. If you like them, you're curating an aspect of yourself. You're putting on your dating face. I mean, yeah, if they phone it in and they're just like, oh, I like to drink beer and litter. It's like, okay, well, but I think it's a fair thing to have an interaction with someone and just to talk to them, and that's it. And if you don't want them, that's okay. But have a conversation.
So
they're a human being.
But an asshole.
I think so. After 10 minutes, absolutely. I think it's rude. It's very dismissive. You're not like giving them any of that, dating experience. And
what would you say that, well, is there a way to say it in a way that you're not the asshole?
No, because I think it's the deprivation of the time that's the issue with me. I am like aligned with you. Like, had they covered it, I would say like this is a much lower grade offense, because I would be like, all right, he got her a drink. Especially if it was a nice place, like a $14 cocktail, then it starts to be like, all right, well, damn, she kind of broke even here. It's not terrible. But I guess I just feel like it's just very rude and dismissive. And so that to me is the asshole-ish nature of it. And I don't think it needs to be deceptive. Yeah.
I think it would be very hard to not seem like you don't think you're better than that person in this scenario. I guess that is a good point, where it's like, it's hard to do this without thinking, well, that's maybe even paying for the tab makes you even more of an asshole, because it's like, here, get out of here. Like you're just trying to buy them out of something you think you're above. I definitely think they're an asshole for the not paying, but I'm moving more towards your side. I don't know, but the experience thing to me, I don't know. I don't know what experience is to be had with someone who doesn't want to be there with you, but I understand what you're saying.
I feel like we've talked this one out. You guys can probably defer to Jared over me. I think he's more of a dating expert. Nonetheless,
I think it's a good discussion.
Yeah, we never disagreed. AITA for ending a mediocre first date after 10 minutes. We both agree for different reasons. YTA. Would I be the asshole if I don't take back the dating advice I gave to my brother? Yesterday, my 22 male brother, 17M, asked me and my sister for our dating advice because apparently he messed things up with the girl he liked. My sister, 20F, tried to console him. Told him empty phrases like, "You're great just the way you are. Love will find you when you least expect it. And just be funny and respectful. Women don't care about looks like men do." I kind of kept quiet, but later I took my brother aside and told him not to listen to my sister's advice since she has zero clue about how different dating for men is. I explained to him that physical attraction is important and that improving my looks has exploded the amount of attention I've received from women, way more than anything else I did. I also pointed out that all of my sister's past boyfriends were conventionally attractive guys. Further, I told my bro that, quote, "love will find you when you least expect it," might work for women, but not for men, since men overwhelmingly have to make the first move. I then advised him to put himself out there, not to be afraid to face rejection, and try to act confident and extroverted. I also invited him to go to the gym with me if he wants to improve his confidence or looks. My problem is that my sis heard my advice and now she's mad at me. According to her, I'm turning my little brother into a sexist and she wants me to talk to him again to tell him I was wrong and that he should ignore my advice. But I'm not sure whether I should. In my opinion, my advice was way more useful than my sister's and it's not like anything I said was wrong. Would I be the asshole if I don't talk to my brother again?
Okay. This guy came at his, like, it's interesting. It's okay to like disagree with your sister. Like when he started, when she like did the open, like the, you know, the
phrases,
kind of like the phrases and stuff. And I get why those are like, you know what I mean? Like you would roll your eyes at those. But then this guy came in and gave advice that was like from like a douchebag handbook. Like it's like, listen, I do think that looks are important, but your look is for someone, you know what I mean? Like, but looks are like going to the gym might be important to like help his confidence so he feels better about meeting new people that he's attracted to. The way the brother kind of like, the brother would say like kind of a good point and then give the worst reason to do that point. Does that make sense?
Yeah, are you talking about men overwhelmingly make the first move, or do you mean the gym thing about how the gym gives him confidence? What aspect do you have?
The gym thing is like basically he's like, no, listen, you know, our sister only dates hot dudes, you know, like, yeah, and you got to be a hot dude. Like it's one thing to be like, hey, go to the gym so you feel better about yourself, so that you have the confidence to pursue women that you're attracted to. That's like a different way of saying something that has a different message. Like his message seems to be the only way you get hot chicks is by working out, and you know, and look at me, I've gotten so many more hot chicks. Like that's not, and then it's like, who's to say who's hot and who's not? You know, like it's a subjective thing, you know, like looks and attraction. So to me, this guy is an asshole. Like he doesn't really, he's giving advice that doesn't involve any empathy and also any, you know, I always say this with dating stuff. It's like, there's no such thing as too much or too anything. I don't believe in or any rules with dating. This guy is giving and it's similar for this guy where he's like, you got to be good looking. Like, so what the fuck is good looking, dude? Like, that's insane. Like, everyone is good looking to someone. So I think like he starts with, it's like saying like, take this cough medicine because it can get you drunk. Like, no, you take the cough medicine because it cures your cough, you know?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm finding myself feeling like a douche. I guess I don't have, I do agree with you. I have major qualms with him just completely shooting his sister's advice down. That's not necessary. You know, she's a point of insight, you know, for the matter. She's a woman. So I think there's no reason for him to shoot her down. I guess I do feel, and maybe you need to set me straight, because I feel like, you know, I'm in the best shape I've ever been in my life, and I am getting a lot more attention But you're saying you don't like, so if I were to tell, my brother, hey man, I recommend you get into running. It's been really good for me in getting female attention. You're not comfortable with that.
I'm just saying you're concentrating on the wrong thing, the wrong output of the working out. Like, I would say to you that you're getting more female attention because you're feeling more confident. I would say that okay. I would say that there's that you're getting. You're talking to more women because you feel good talking to more women. Like listen, when your clothes fit better, you feel better. When it happens to me all the time, and that doesn't have to be losing weight or gaining weight. It can just be looking in the mirror and going, oh, I do want to go out tonight. Like when you don't feel good about yourself, you don't want to leave the house. I've been that way. I've been that way many times. Right. And so I would say, like, again, it's the same thing as like, it's like, if you have a cough, you need cough medicine, but not to get drunk enough to fall asleep. You take it to get you better. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't know. You reminded me of Sarah right now. She would tell me not to say that shit.
You can say it. I just think, like, to me, this guy is teaching his younger brother I'm with the sister. It's not, and I wouldn't call him. He's saying he's teaching him to be a misogynist. I think he's just teaching him to look at things through the perspective that doesn't really matter. Like, okay, I remember, like, when I was younger, I wanted to have abs. I thought that was like the most important thing, and like, and now I just want to fit in a t-shirt comfortably and then see it, like to put it on without stretching it out 1,000 times. Like, that's all I want. Like and that comes with age and maturity. And to me, he sounds very immature.
Okay. All right. I think we see eye to eye for the most part. I guess I just feel like, people are shallow. That doesn't make them bad people. So, trying to look better, I think does kind of help. I think part of it is a numbers game, but you're right. There's really no reason to approach it from the like get hot and get hot girls kind of view.
Yeah. And then but it's not even just the get hot stuff. Like to even look at your sister and go, none of that is true. Like it is true. Like it is true. Like she gave some good advice. Like to just like, he took away all emotional stuff and he made it all physical. And for that reason, he's an asshole. Like now rethinking about it, like, he didn't take one emotional beat to think that his brother could have emotion at all. And it's like, when you take out that, you take out vulnerability. Like, it's just right. You've erased so many things that help you in relationship. Like in relationships and dating, like vulnerability brings on vulnerability. Like that gets you to know someone better.
Closeness, absolutely.
So he's really like just taking out it. Like when he gets rid of all her advice, he's really taking out all the emotional advice.
Yeah, I think you're on point. I mean, I think that's his real sin here. I don't have as much of a problem with the advice regarding like hotness, but you're right. By reducing her advice to nothing and also not mentioning any aspect of personality, which is also huge. I think that's important to develop. And
his own confidence. He never mentions
huge.
Like he never mentions like, hey, how are you feeling? It's just work out, you'll get women.
Yeah, it's too reductive. I think we agree on this one. Would I be the asshole if I don't take back the dating advice I gave to my brother? I don't think he needs to maybe take it back. He needs to like make up to his sister, apologize to her for shitting on her advice, say that her advice is valid, and maybe add. I don't think he has more because he's 22. So this is this is what he really thinks. But
yeah.
So I think we agree on this one. YTA. All right, we're going to wrap up here on this. AITA for telling my friend her luck with dating is her own fault. My friend and I practically grew up together. We've been friends since we were 4, and now we share an apartment as she still goes to college and I work full-time on my own business. Since she's still in college and doesn't work, she lives with me and pays a quarter of the rent. I take care of utilities as it isn't very expensive, and I'm doing pretty well, even in the pandemic. Yesterday, as I was preparing dinner, we were talking...
starts out with a big brag.
Yeah, I pay for everything. I'm making lots of money. Yesterday, as I was
even in the pandemic.
Yeah. Yesterday, as I was preparing dinner, we were talking about her dating life. She's very open with me about that, as we're very close, and she says she wants a male point of view. I'll just put this as a disclaimer. I'm a homosexual man and have absolutely no interest in women romantically. She constantly talks about there being, quote, no good straight men out there, which always struck me as strange, as we both have plenty of friends that fit that criteria, but alas, never seemed to bother me until now. I decided to ask her what she did actually mean by that. She went on a rambling explanation that most straight men are, and I quote, pigs, that they don't want a deep connection or a good relationship, only want to have physical interaction. She uses a lot of dating apps, thus ends up meeting a very strange group of folks. Regardless, we started talking about what usually happened, and she showed me the convos she has with most people. All seem to follow the pattern of greeting, then ask for pictures. However, there was one that called out of the others. It stood out of the others. This dude, who was smoking hot, was actually trying to talk to her. He'd ask questions, be interested in her life, talked about himself, and they actually seemed to connect. I asked her, what about him? And her answer was, and I quote, oh, he's amazing. He's gorgeous and really nice. But he's only 5'9", so I can't date him. I only go out with people taller than 6'1". Now, this got me with surprise. I couldn't control myself and by reflex told her, well, if you don't give the one guy you liked a chance because of his height, then your problems are of your own damn fault. It was a reflex, and I know I should have kept that to myself. And she got really offended. She stormed out and now is calling me an asshole for not understanding her. So I come here to make sure. Am I the asshole?
I like this one. And it's very... it feels like it's... This one feels like it's a fan fiction written by a guy who's 5'8".
like this is like a reason, yeah.
Well, it just it feel like 5'8" guys love getting mad at women who don't, who make fun of the under 5'9" thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like this feels like it's a very straw man story for someone to lean on to show how mean women are to 5'8" guys. It feels like it was written by Fox. Like, those stories that like Fox News brings up where it's like, and they're coming after Christmas again. Woman in Iowa complaining about the cups. You're like, that didn't happen. Like, I've never even met a Jew who cared about Merry Christmas. You know what I mean? Right. So this feels like that type of story, but I would say this person is not the asshole because I think the message of you need to be more self-aware, you need to be more cynical with your dating, you need to be understand that sometimes it rains out and you got to bring an umbrella, and that's not and what I mean by that is like sometimes you're going to get guys who are going to ask for pictures and they're going to be that way, and that sucks, but that's not going away. And if you don't want that from strangers, get off the dating app.
Is that a move, Jared? I don't even know about that. So that's on an app where there are already pictures. Guys will be like, more pictures.
Yeah, I think what happens is with some of these guys, they don't know you. There's no consequence of like being like, so you have any sexy pics? Like, it's not right. I'm not apologizing for it. I just think it happens because, it's not like they can go, hey, your friend's an asshole. Yes, there's no embarrassment to it. So it's the same as like catcalling in the street to me. Like it's internet catcalling. And again, I'm not meaning to sound like I'm apologizing for it, but I'm saying like, there is breakage, so to speak, in dating. Like, my family, my dad used to sell liquor. So sometimes a case of beer or a case of vodka would fall. Right. So you account for that in your accounting. Like that has, you're going to have a year, $1,000, keep it, of liquor bottles that smash on the floor. And so if you're on a dating app, you're going to have some breakage. And I hate that it happens, but it just happens. So you're going to have to go. And because it's on the internet, there's just more of it. So it feels like it's everyone and everyone's an asshole. But to blindly say everyone's an asshole, there's no good guys. Like you're just looking for sympathy without really trying to work on yourself and try to account for breakage and kind of laugh at the idiots. And also, I can understand, and I do understand that it's exhausting. How many men can you date that 3 months in, they go, I'm not ready for a relationship? Well, you got to be a better buyer at some point. Right. And so I agree with this guy where he's like, and not just like she has a right to not want to go out with guys who are shorter. And that's okay. She's got to be sexually attracted to the guy. And if she's not, that's okay. I think everyone can have their own preferences. But to have one nice, if there's a nice guy who's 5'8", there's going to be a nice guy who's 6'1", as if the cutoff for nice guys happens at 5'9" is ridiculous. So I think he's right in letting her know, like, hey, you have to take some ownership of this. Also, and I say this on the podcast with emails, like, I can only speak to the emailer. So he can only speak to her friend. Like, hey, listen, we can sit here and cry about how horrible the world is, or we can be better buyers.
Yeah, do you think there's anything wrong with how harshly he maybe presented this? He admitted that it was kind of reflexive. Do you think, I'm curious what you think just in general about the etiquette of this stuff. Like, I would be very self-conscious. I notice you have a thing, and correct me if I'm wrong, where you charge $50 to help someone soup up their dating profile. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I would love to pay for this service, but my ego is like, I don't think I could deal with the shame of showing Jared my profile. I don't think I could do it. I'm like freaking out. I'm like sweating.
There's no shame in it, and I'll do yours for free. But I think like people, again, like if I started doing You Up podcast when I was 22, I wouldn't sound as good as I do now. And you have to say things in an edible way because dating is icky. A lot of the tough truths are icky. Like what she said to him is a little icky. Like it's hard to admit. Yeah, I don't want to date him. He's 5'8". Fuck him. I'm not attracted. Like that's a hard thing to tell someone. And he reacted not well. Yeah, I guess in a vacuum where they never speak again, she could walk away and say he was an asshole for reacting to my sex. Like there is a way to look at this where he's being not nice, where he's being a misogynist and even though he's gay, that doesn't let him off the hook. Like a woman can have sexual preferences too. Like, and his reaction to one person, I think he said it wrong, but the idea that I'm not going to listen to you just blanket statement, every guy is bad, because that just allows you to not try, is not an asshole move. It's hard. I agree with what you're saying though, because I think like you can be right and say it the wrong way.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know why it's so touchy. I've had female friends be like, hey, let me look at your profile. And I don't know. I don't want to show them. It's a vulnerable thing for people. I like how you call it an art project, though. That makes me.
It
feel
is an
more
art
like,
project.
It's a little art project. That makes it seem sillier.
Well, you made it. And when someone sends me theirs, I don't go ew ew ew. I don't do that. Like someone sends it to me, I go, here, you try to compliment sandwich people. I say to them like, hey, I can't see you, and you're great. Like we got to stop hiding on this profile. A lot of times the profiles I get sent are like big sunglasses and it's them and seven friends.
I hate that.
Yeah. And it's like, and that is someone who's self-conscious. I get that. I'm self-conscious as well, but that's why I understand it, because I have the same insecurities. And it's like, you have to come to terms with like, you're not trying to like get all the matches. You're trying to get your match.
Right. I think this one, he basically just came at her and said, he didn't even call her shallow. Well, if you don't give this one guy you liked a chance because of his height, then your problems are your own damn fault. Yeah, it's a little accused. It's kind of like saying you're broken. That's why you're in this situation. I think we would probably agree, right, that that's a little too harsh. You gotta.
Well, I mean, the way read that again, because that's actually not as bad as I remembered it.
Well, if you didn't give this one guy you liked a chance because of his height, then your problems are your own damn fault.
It's better than I thought when I first heard it, because I guess like when I heard it, and then I was like, I just imagine him being like, "You're a fucking idiot," to me, like, to me that response is like. He is responding to her blanket statement. Every guy, there's no good guys.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
which isn't that harsh. He's not saying, but I guess I'm really digging in at this point, but he's not saying 5'8" can be hot too. Like you're you're being a snob. He's not saying that. He's technically just being like, hey, all these problems you say, but then the nice guy, like, so there are nice guys. You know, I don't think he's an asshole.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think it could have been delivered a little bit because she's hurting. You know, I think that's where a lot of this comes from, is like feeling rejected, I mean, I went through this phase right after my breakup of my 5-year. I was like, I'm on the apps and I was like, oh, this is all the people that couldn't find someone to lock down in their 20s. That's who I'm looking at. I went into this panicked phase. I was like, there's no one good out there. And it was freaky, you know? I mean, it was obviously false and stupid, but you know, this can put people in a very rejected headspace. So
it's scary. Like the problem with these apps is just the numbers. Like it's just more. Like it's one thing to get turned down once at a bar, you go back to your friends, you hang out. Oh, that girl really didn't talk to me. It's another thing when you're on an app that's made for dating, just rejection. You're like, what the fuck is going on? You know, it can get to you.
It absolutely can. I think we agree on this one. AITA for telling my friend her luck with dating is her own fault. Maybe not the best way to deliver the message, but I think we would say no assholes here, right? She's not an asshole.
No assholes here.
No assholes here. Jared, thank you so much for coming on the show, man. I feel like you're an expert on dating. It can't be refuted. It's been a joy to talk to you.
I am no expert, just have a loud opinion, and it was a pleasure. This is a lot of fun. I love this. I love this idea for a podcast. It's great.
Well, hey, you're always welcome back. Hopefully we can get Sarah next time. She has to study. She's studying hard. Is there any other plug away? Anything else you want to plug?
Just my Instagram at Jared Freid, and I put everything up there, including the special. Socially distanced, of course. It's on YouTube. You can enjoy 35 minutes without having to scroll Netflix and then download Peacock to do The Office.
Hell yeah. I'm gonna watch it tonight. Look forward to it.
Thank you, man.
All right, guys. Well, that's the ep, and we'll see you next time.